All right. So, are you ready for this?
I'm ready. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. So, obviously, I've seen the movie this morning, and I would like to start with Eli and Derek actually, because Eli actually believes that he's not good enough at what he does, and it's actually Derek who goes like, "You are better than you think you are." And I was wondering, when it comes down to real life, did you ever actually have to stop yourself from underestimating your skills and what you can actually do?
Oh gosh. Yeah. I tend to still do that all the time. I, yeah. I mean, I've also had situations with Tyler Hecklin in real life, kind of, us trying to amp each other up for things. But yeah, I definitely, it's something I have to constantly try to work on is just believing that I'm on the right path. And, if I set out to do something, I like to, even if I fail, I like to see it out. Um,
Right.
most things. And, so that's really the mindset I have. As long as I just, you know, go with, I guess just, it sounds cliche, but kind of, go with your gut and just kind of trust your instincts. So,
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
yeah, I mean, if you fail, then that's a learned lesson, I guess. So
Absolutely. I mean, there can be, you cannot learn without failure. I mean, how do you want to grow, otherwise?
that's life. God, that's
Yeah,
heavy.
yeah, yeah, it is. So I like a dialogue by Melissa who goes like, every time someone says something's impossible, somehow the impossible seems to happen. And I was wondering if you do remember, something specific from your own life where you were like, at first it kind of seemed impossible, but then you were actually able to make it possible.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my favorite lines from the movie, by the way.
Right.
Every time Melissa's on screen, it's just like she's incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and I'd have that same reaction too if Allison, came back how 15 years later.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, but yeah, I think that, getting to do what I do now is, be working in the industry. And um I mean, I'm a kid from like small town Kansas. I We didn't have a paved road in our town. We had one paved road. And then eventually I hear they just got a gas station where I grew up. So, I kind of came from a very humble beginnings. And then, now I kind of started, had this idea when I was a teenager to chase this big dream of,
Yeah.
moving to LA and trying to be on TV, which sounds absurd. And, so I think that that's kind of my biggest kind of moment of realization that I actually went and tried to seek out a dream and that it's starting to come true. I mean, I think the dream changes. It's definitely not the same dream it was when I was a teenager.
Right.
Sets in and different goals and different things come up. But now now I know that I'm capable of accomplishing um, at least getting close to accomplishing whatever I set my mind to. So I just have to be confident in that.
Right. But I mean, there are like so many lines in the movie that actually, were like, oh, that are kind of deep and that make
Oh,
you think in a way, that's what I love about it, And one
yeah.
line is also by Derek, who tells his son to always remember who he is.
Yeah.
Because I mean, so many people actually forget who they are, and it's terrible when they don't even recognize that, because there are people who don't recognize it. And I was wondering, how do you make sure in your life you always remember who you are and that you never forget about, what it is that makes you you?
That is also something it's something I kind of struggle with a lot of the time is I don't know. I think you have to really build a really strong foundation around your sense of self. And so for me, I feel like, especially coming into this industry, I had to be so many different things that I wasn't in order to merely uh, survive in this industry. And then, once I started coming into my own and realizing that building all these walls and being people that I am not was starting to really affect my health, I made that change. But yeah, I mean, so I think that what was the initial question? Because I was on the way towards it, and then my cat is screaming in the background.
Oh, you can. I love it. I don't see it, but I love it.
You can't hear it.
The
Okay, good.
initial question, you know what? I lost track as well.
Yeah,
We're
I was almost there. I was this close to
almost
being
there.
there,
It
and
was
then
like not forgetting who you are,
oh
basically.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that's basically, just I think that especially if you have great friends and family and just people who support you. And I've been lucky enough to have people who have followed my career for, I've been doing this for over 15 years. Uh,
Wow. So
and
awesome.
so, to have that support has really meant the world to me. And I just have to be a little less hard on myself, I think. And that's something that I struggle with, but it, that's life. So.
Oh yeah, that's the way it is. Yeah. And there's like a fun situation with Parrish and Malia. It's so fun
Who saw
because
that coming? That was out of nowhere. I was like, what?
right. I mean, I love her character so much because she's like, I'm not here to support your ego, and if whatever it is you have to do, you have to do it yourself. And this is so fun because very often, you meet people and you see that they want you to go like, you can do it, you can do it. Like this motivation speeches that Malia simply refuses. And I
Yeah,
was
she's like, I'm
wondering,
not here for this pity party.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, like, if you ever actually had to tell yourself, what, I have to do this, myself on my own without having, people giving you like the first push.
Oh, that's how I am all like pretty much on with everything. I tend to I know sometimes I won't even tell people if I'm working on certain things, like especially people even close to me, because if I tell someone, like I started going to school, I went back to school and started taking classes for writing.
Yeah.
And I initially didn't tell a lot of people because I thought that if I told someone that I wouldn't finish it. And so I do tend to keep things, I tend to want to be the first person to actually get in the groove of things and actually start things, because if someone else is involved, I start listening to the wrong voices, and instead of listening to myself, which a lot of time you have to really trust what you're doing. So um
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I think it is nice to have that support.
Mm.
I've been working on my stubbornness recently, and so that's been fun. And I think that it is nice to have other people who are helping you out along the way, instead of trying to feel like you're the only person on an island. So
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you mentioned, earlier, it's so cool that Allison is back. Obviously, the fans were all like, "Oh my goodness!" When they found out that she's back for the trailers.
I
And
cried. Yeah.
and it is cool because it kind of picks up, from episodes that for me were amongst like the best. I believe it was like the third season, I believe it was.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, and I mean, so a very long time ago, actually. But
Yeah.
um, I love it, and obviously, she has missed a lot of time, and she even says herself that she's even trying to figure out how to get that time back in a way. And I
Yeah.
was wondering because obviously we all make use of our time in a very different way, and we all have a different concept of time. And I was wondering if you ever actually felt that you were not exactly making use of the time you have, like the way you should have looking back.
Yeah. Yeah, every day. I am I guess you could call me a hobby enthusiast. I have about 5,000 hobbies. And I will do the hobby until I either not quite master it but get good at it, and then I'll quit. Then I'll start another hobby. So yeah, currently I'm in my DIY phase. I've been in that for a couple of years. Just, knocking holes in walls and being like, I'm gonna renovate the house, and then realizing that there's been that hole in the wall for a year. So yeah, I mean that's definitely yeah.
But you know what? I feel like having 5,000 hobbies is definitely better than having no hobby at all because there are people who really don't know what to do with their time.
And for those people, I think, and that's something for me. I just, especially during the pandemic,
Mm,
I we obviously had a lot of time on our hands and we were all staying at home. And that really was it for me. I was like, you know what, I'm going to try things I've never done. And then I started painting. I started making different things at like ceramics and pottery. And so for people who don't know what they want to do, I mean, you really just have to try everything. That's something that and a lot of time it's like, for me, if it's not fun, I don't want to do it. I'm not trying to, play a game that I don't want to play or things like that. But I think that
Yeah.
once I step in my comfort zone, now I have so many hobbies and there's no time to do all of them. And then
Wow.
also, work and things like that. So, yeah, I have too many hobbies, not enough time. That's why I don't sleep.
Right, because every hour you sleep is like a wasted hour. You could have done something else, right, in a way.
It's boring. It's just boring. I don't want to sleep.
Oh my goodness, you know what? You're actually the first person to say that, and I feel the same way. If I could be awake 24 hours a day, I will do it. I'd be the first person to try out something that keeps me awake all the time, so I can make use of all the time the way I want.
Oh
And
yeah. In my sleep schedule, I don't like daytime. During the day, I'm just like, I just need everyone to go away. There's all these, it's loud, even though I live literally by no one. I just don't like daytime. But when the nighttime happens, it's like I feel like birds singing in my ears and like this beautiful melody. It's just like I am not a day person. I'm a night person. I stay up until the morning. So yeah.
So cool, so cool. And I mean, another line from the film that really got me like emotionally is like when Scott says, like, I don't worry about the past because now I have a future. And I was wondering if this is something you thought as well, after having faced your past while writing your book, and through all these years and actually releasing it then.
Yeah, I tend to be someone who I always say, or friends always tell me that I tend to hold them hostage with my memories. And it's something that I love doing. I am addicted to the past. And my therapist likes to say it's because I have a hard time living in the now because I can you hear that?
Yes, so sweet. I love it.
He's not sweet at all. He's such a
Oh, come on. You sounded very sweet.
such a brat. He's down there. You can't see him. But no,
I see.
anyway, it's like he hears me talking about my book and he's like, can we wrap it up? You've been talking about your book for like 2 years. Um, I even thanked you in my book, you brat. Uh, yeah, but so I think that, living in the past for me, I still love it. I know that, some people are like, I don't know, some people for some reason get a little irritated whenever with nostalgia and stuff like that, and I don't. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
Um but I really cherish my memories, and I really cherish I have a photographic memory, and so I remember details that a lot of people don't really remember. And I
Yeah.
think the one thing I really love doing is like, you know,
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, Timmy. You
No
have to.
problem. No.
If I put him in the room, it'll be worse. Yeah, so I think that having the knowledge of my past and things like that has really helped me. Timmy, please stop. Has really helped me kind of shape my future because I now know what roads not to go down, and what to do to actually, I don't know, get to the end of the road safely, I guess. So.
And do you also find it, annoying when you remember something really great and then you're like, oh, do you remember this? And then your friends are like, nope.
But no, that's the thing is none of my friends remember anything. It's like I I
Oh
remember
no.
I remember vivid details. Like I have every single ticket stub. I have every receipt, every letter anyone's ever given me,
Wow.
every single card. My favorite gifts are just cards. If someone writes me a card, I keep it. And so yeah, I I'm like a memory hoarder. So yeah, I love all that stuff.
But it actually shows in your book because your book is very detailed and all the memories you bring up from at a very young age, it's quite remarkable what you remember, so it's a lot.
Yeah, some of it I wish I wouldn't, I didn't I wasn't able to remember very much. But the thing is, having such a vivid memory about a lot of things that went on, um, yeah, it kind of just made me the person I am today, which, I'm still trying to figure out who I am, but at the same time, I'm standing a lot more firm and um, in my own, in my in my own self. I finally started to figure out who I am and embrace the gentler sides and embrace embrace sides of me that people don't even know that I have and things like that. And I'm starting to really dig deep. So
Right. And your cat won't like it, but I also actually have a copy of your book here.
oh
Uh, and I
yeah.
actually I have I'm so sorry that I'm not fully from like at page 144 because I actually got it just yesterday evening. So it was a very
That's far. That's a long way in. Yeah.
yeah, totally. And but I would probably be done if I wouldn't, like making notes and whatever. But
That's
so
all I do.
I kind of
Yeah.
decorated it, but
That's literally all I do with all my books is literally I annotate every.
so awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I was wondering because you write that that you ask had I ever been more myself and will I ever be again, and so that sentence, will I ever be again, I was wondering if that is one that crossed your mind when you were actually asked to go back to the closet.
Yeah, that was, that from day one, that that really affected me. It wasn't something that I was like, you know what, I'm game, like I'm ready to do this. I
Yeah,
was, I moved to LA with my high school boyfriend who we went to prom together. We drove out to LA with, just us two. And so, having to go to these acting classes and being told to, butch it up and, being told to put uh, post-it notes under my tongue to fix my lisp, to go to movement for the actor classes to fix the way I walked. It really, right when I moved to LA, it just felt like, how do I explain this? It felt like, the immediate excavation
mm,
of my soul and everything that made me. And so now, now I've just been spending a lot of the years trying to find all of those pieces that were um, I wouldn't say taken from me because I did know I went into this on my own choice, but at the same time, a lot of that feels stolen from me. So I'm just trying to regain a lot of that that real estate. You know what I mean? So
but I love it so much that you've made the decision, yeah, like to come out in public and to be yourself, because a lot of people are unable to make that decision for various reasons, of course. And I was wondering because even after having made such a huge decision, I mean, it's life. We will always meet people that are going to try to have, an influence on us, or who are
yeah.
going to try to control us and our decisions and whatever. And I was wondering, whenever you have all these different voices, how do you make sure that the only one you are really listening to is your own?
I think that definitely takes practice. I'm really good at it now. It's definitely boundaries, which is very hard to establish, especially once you become a rug to people and once you become a yes person. The second you stick up for yourself, and the second you you yeah, the second you stand up for yourself, you're immediately um, the rudest person that I've ever met, the biggest asshole ever. And that's the thing that's so hard is a lot of the time it feels like if you're nice once, you have to be nice and you have to play the game forever.
Mm.
But you don't have to do that. And I think that standing up for myself now and making sure I prioritize my time, I if I get through the day, I don't tend to get stressed out at all anymore because I don't put myself in situations where I can get stressed out.
Right.
Because I know myself. Um, if I don't want to go to that dinner, I won't go to the dinner. If I don't want to do something, I just won't do it, which that's irritating for people, but um, it's what's best for my mental health, and also I yeah, then I can be at home with my cat who's yelling at me all the time, and that's my safe space, and then I can just be annotating and reading you know, yeah. So yeah, definitely you have to just hold your ground and actually just um, yeah, just no is a complete sentence. I know that's very, very cliche, but it's true.
But I feel like it's so important, really, I to say no when you don't want to do something, because you're like, oh, I don't want to offend them. It's something that I had to learn, as well, because you're like, oh, I can never, and then not say no because then they're offended and stuff. And I'm like, but they say no to me all the time as well. So why am I not supposed to be to say no too if I don't
And
want
they
to?
won't even think they're not even there's not even an afterthought after they do it. But I think
Yeah.
we are now then spiraling, going for days, being like, I hope I didn't upset that person. I hope I didn't do this. And it's
Oh my
like,
God. Yeah. Yeah.
just yeah, I'm still working on that, but I'm a lot better at it now. Now I am very my face tends to be almost like a I mean, you know exactly what I'm thinking because I can't hide my emotion on my face anymore. Um,
Mm.
so if I'm happy, mad, sad, and yeah, so I'm very direct in that way. So
Right. And sometimes I wonder if Hollywood has really changed when it comes down to LGBT support, because like for consumers, it looks like it. They go like, oh, look, there's representation there, there's diversity there, but behind the scenes is a whole different story. And I know from the media world that people of higher positions whisper what they had said before. So it almost feels like that it's them now who were sent back to the closet, because they are kind of faking support in order to avoid like a shitstorm. That's at least what I feel like in the media world. And I was wondering if you feel similar about Hollywood, that not every support is genuine support.
you know, it's so tricky. I mean, it's definitely kind of, I definitely don't want to make an umbrella statement. But
Sure.
I think it's the question, it's it's just the simple question that, that people in the media, every time they talk to someone who is out in the industry, they ask, about it's almost like a formulaic question, I think. And I think that that's where it can kind of start is um figuring out a way to try to implement this change instead of just
Mm.
uh, I found a lot, especially when I was promoting the book. A lot of times, a lot of people didn't actually even read I mean, you got to page 144. That's fucking amazing, and thank you. A lot of times, people didn't read. A lot of times, people didn't read even the blurb, even the one line.
Oh my
And
gosh.
every single piece of the press for my book was about 2 lines that I wrote in the book. One about a TV show that I left, and another one about the other TV show I left. That
Mm-hmm.
has nothing to do with my book. My book is about my soul, my my mom, and all of these incredibly deep personal stories that have nothing to do with my career.
So
And
they were
so,
like making that the main thing, like you
yeah,
said,
every
like,
headline was
oh wow.
Colton left this, and it ruined the rollout of my book, and it
Oh
really
yeah.
pissed me off. And so, but I
Course.
think it's the questions. I think it's there has to be a new way, I think, to talk to because you can really ask anyone who's out in the industry. You can every friend I have who's out in the industry has at least 10 of the same headline that we all share the same headline.
Oh wow. Yeah.
It's how what like what needs to change about LGBTQ plus representation in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you know I understand that it is very good intentioned, but I do think it then it just gets lost kind of in the void. And I think that then it's like, how do we direct those questions to the people who are actually in the positions and in power to actually make that change? And so we're not kind of just talking in circles. Yeah, but I maybe I answered the question, I'm not sure, but
Because there's actually something in the book that really reminded me of a friend of mine. Actually, it's actually the moment when your dad passed away, and the reaction you had to it wasn't the reaction that your family had expected. And that was actually something that happened to my friend as well at a very similar age. And you know his family actually was mad at him because of that. And what it actually did to him is that later on, he faked reactions. And I was wondering if that was actually ever an issue for you, or if you were able to keep your reactions, organic.
Yeah, in the book, I kind of, there's context around it, so it's, but it might sound a little harsh coming, out of context, but I basically describe it as feeling like he was nothing but a goldfish, and so that feeling for me, I think I had a lot of that feeling because I didn't have a very good relationship with him, and I had, you know, we had a very rocky relationship, and whereas my brother, who was a year older than me, and him had the best relationship ever. And I felt like I was that kid you know, standing outside looking through the window, just watching all these amazing memories happen with my brother. And then every time I would walk in the door, I felt like he just had his hand, like, you know, I was reaching for him and I could never actually grab him. And so I think those memories for me, I couldn't fake them. I bawled my eyes out at his funeral. It was so emotional, and he was in the military, so they had the gun salute and everything. And I explained in the book that I, I left my tears there like flowers on his unmarked grave. And yeah, so I think especially as I think a lot of queer people can relate to a lot, well, I would say a lot of people I know, I won't speak for everyone as a whole, but a lot of people I know have very tricky relationships with their fathers because of the masculinity issue.
Right.
um and I was an overly effeminate kid, and I I didn't have a very good relationship with my dad, and I think that was a lot of the reason why. But so my reaction to his passing was something I couldn't fake, and it did piss my family off, but at the same time I had to protect myself,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Seriously, Colton, I want to thank you so much for your time, and obviously for being so open-minded, for sharing your stories and everything. And speaking of reactions, actually, I just got into a part that totally reminded me of myself. And it's actually a little side story where you say that you are, kind of struggling with reacting whenever you receive a gift. Or at then, because that's so me. Sometimes I go to other friends and I was like, was the reaction okay? And
Oh yeah, that's why I don't like gifts. If someone gives me a card, I won't open it in front of them. I'll read it after. But I don't even if I love something, I just I don't know. I want to give it a genuine reaction, but sometimes I just can't. And
yeah,
so that's why I don't like gifts. That's why I don't like birthdays or things like that, because I don't know. It's weird. I feel like I have like cement walls built up around things like that. But yeah.
when we see us at Real Junket, you give me something, I give you something, and we'll see how we react to each other.
And we'll text each other whenever we open it later.
Yes. Right. Seriously, Colton, thank you so much. It was a total pleasure talking to you and your cat, and hopefully again very soon.
I know. I hope so. And thank you for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for reading the book. Appreciate it.